drowning yourself in toxic positivity when you want to be happy as a stay-at-home mom will never work. You may find yourself reaching for food, scrolling on your phone, even becoming cold, short, and distant towards your kids when you are unhappy. Or maybe you'll put so much pressure on yourself to be a happy mom that when you feel burned out and unhappy, it just leads to more stress, which is truthfully the ugly cycle that I was stuck in. Today, I'm going to share with you 9 of the things that have helped me to find more joy, energy, and contentment in this messy season of motherhood. Welcome to the Slowish Parenting Podcast. I'm your host, Alexis. I'm a mama to 2 little girls and a parenting coach. I help moms who are burned out, tired, and stressed feel happy and confident so they can enjoy a little more ease in their daily life. If you want to unlearn parenting and awaken your innate design, then you're in the right place. Alrighty, let's get into today's episode. Hello, you guys, and welcome back to another episode. Today, I'm coming back at you with some habits for mamas with small, young children. I have found myself out of the toddler phase with my oldest, but we're not quite in the big kid phase. We're still preschoolish, and I've found that with so many of my clients, there's this awkward time, and I'm going to call it between the ages of 4 and 7, where kids are drastically changing emotionally, physically, all of the things, they're drastically changing. And yet we are still needed, kind of, but not a lot. And it's still mentally taxing, and we're tired and we're exhausted, and they're not fully in school yet or being homeschooled yet. They are still home quite a bit, even if they're in preschool. They're not probably going full-time to preschool like they would be in school. And if you're on the older end of the spectrum and your child's in first grade, you're still probably having to emotionally regulate quite a bit. And there's a lot going on here. And so I wanted to make a video specifically for you because I think that with a lot of the toddler stuff, we can apply. We're going to use that word. We're going to apply it here. It can be helpful, but they don't need us quite as much. My 4-year-old wants to do most things on her own. She doesn't want help with most things, although she still really needs me when she gets hurt or when she is having a really huge moment. And so I find myself kind of in this dance of figuring out what is she actually needing? What am I actually needing? And I find that my needs are looking a lot different than in those early years. In those early years, I was just trying to take a shower once a week. That was the worry. Now it's how can I sit down and get a half hour to myself to journal? How can I pour a little bit more into myself because I'm feeling drained. I'm feeling exhausted. And so this episode is for you. If you still feel like you're in the limbo. And I feel like every age has its challenges, and this one surely should not get overlooked. So we're going to go ahead and we are going to start with the very first thing that I believe moms need to do to be happier. So we need to stop overscheduling. We need to stop putting so much on our plates that we are so busy that we do not have time for what is most important. And I'm not talking about dishes being most important. I'm not even talking about the house chores or homemaking or any of that. I'm talking about what is most important to you as a human. Is it spending time with the Lord? Is it connecting with your child, having connection? Is it having a healthy, thriving marriage? What is it that is most important to you? And when you can figure that out, your schedule works around that. For me, I want to and need to spend time with God once a day. So my priority is to put that in somewhere in my day, right? So if I don't get the dishes all the way done, I need to at least get this done. This needs to be like my first priority, okay? And for me, the second thing that comes is definitely my marriage, but my husband isn't home all the time. Like, he's working, he works away from home. So we don't get to constantly work on our marriage. So when he's not home, I'm fully committing to being open and available for my kids for that connection, because connection is very important to me. And so when we can start to figure this out, and where this idea actually took root, I guess, and really helped to settle in and help me make a plan, was when I read the book, The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. This really became clear to me that the overscheduling, being busy, hustle, was causing me to miss out on some of the most precious and beautiful moments of my life. And I absolutely 100% needed to prioritize what was important. And the first part of that was not overscheduling myself, because when we overschedule and when we have too much on our plate, we're doing too much, we don't have time to come in and truly handle and regulate our child. And what happens is they start having meltdown after meltdown after meltdown after meltdown, and they want attention, and they're constantly there under our feet. And it's like, get away, stop touching me, I'm drained, I'm tired, I'm burned out, I'm touched out, all of those words, right? And it can be eliminated by just having less priorities, one really big priority, and then settling into that. And for me, like I said, it's connection with my child. So I want to connect when there's an issue, because I know that there probably won't be any more issues today. It's kind of like nipping it in the bud right now. We're going to just take the 40 minutes it's going to take to get this thing, which it never takes that long anymore. But in the beginning it did. But let's say now it takes 5 to 10 minutes. Taking 5 to 10 minutes out of doing my dishes is actually going to help me to get my dishes done today. And that was a crazy thing for me. I started becoming more productive the more I was able to just focus in on my kids and their needs and be there for them. And then they were off playing by themselves for an hour and a half. And I've cleaned the whole house. And I never could do that before. So I think this one is incredibly important for moms to understand. Okay, the second one, very practical. Meal prep breakfast and dinner if possible. I think meal prepping the first meal of the day sets you up for success. I think that you will feel like for the rest of the day, you are ready, you are prepared, you're not rushing, you're not going. It's just like it's made, it's done. I love just having something easy. Like sometimes we'll do bagels and cream cheese with sausage, and all I have to do is take out the sausage because I cooked it up the night before and heat it up, reheat it. Like it's not like I'm making a full-on meal and getting full dishes dirty. It's like, how can I make my morning easy and easeful so that I can have a successful afternoon? So I think that's really helpful when we are thinking about restructuring like our morning or our schedules or our rhythms or whatever you want to call them, and understanding that if we can make our lives a little easier in one way, it's actually going to impact the rest of the day. And I like to start with breakfast because, like I said, it's the first part of your day and it's going to impact the rest of your day. And I find for myself, if I have a really good morning, I'm less agitated by the time the kids are losing their minds at the end of the day. So give myself the insurance of having a yummy, nutritious meal prepped for the morning. Okay, number 3. Let's make just 10 seconds of eye contact with our kids. Now, like I mentioned earlier, when we are in connection with our children, there is much more ease. I was getting more done when I was meeting my child's needs, when I was being there for them. And one of those things that you can do that is so easy is just 10 seconds of eye contact. And what this looks like in my house is one of my kids will be running by and they love when I come up behind them and I like scoop them up, and they weren't expecting it and they think it's really funny and silly, and I kind of, tickle them or whatever, and then I'll sit them on the counter and I'll be like, let me see your beautiful brown eyes, because both my girls have brown eyes. And then I will say something like, gosh, you just make my heart so happy. Thank you for your giggles. They were making me giggle inside. And letting her know that her presence just meant so much to me. This has dramatically changed my day. And it's 10 seconds, you guys. 10 seconds just starts to regulate their nervous system. Just the tiniest bit. It starts to lower the stress, the anxiety. Imagine if we can just make eye contact for 10 seconds multiple times a day. And if you have multiple kids, you still don't have to like sit down and play with them or really do anything. It's just about making eye contact. It's about being there physically present with them. I think this is just such a small shift that makes my day so much easier, and I feel way happier at the end of the day because I need that connection too. My children are humans too. Sometimes I think of them like little dolls, or I don't know, like something like that, because I'm like, oh my gosh, I just talk little kid talk all day, you know, and I found myself being in that. But now it's like, no, my kids are real humans with real stuff. Like they have real thoughts, and I want that to fill me and fuel me. And so this has not only like helped my children fill their cup for connection, but it's helped me fill my own cup for connection when I don't have adult connection. And it's been really huge in my journey of motherhood. Okay, number 4. Number 4 is knowing how to regulate yourself. I've recently done an entire podcast episode on how to control your emotions. This is an amazing podcast episode to start to learn how to regulate yourself when you were never taught how to do that. And for me, so much of my rage and my frustration was wrapped up in I didn't know how to handle myself. I just thought anger was bad, and so just make it stop, suppress it, push it down, make it go away, right? And that wasn't working anymore. And so that's actually how I started doing calming tools. And that's, I learned those, obviously, some of them through school. And then I started trying new ones, and I found ones that worked for me. So I actually share 14 of my favorite rage calming tools in a free video. So if you would like this 8-minute video of my 14 favorite rage calming tools, you can comment rage below and I will send them to you. But I want you to know that like regulating yourself is really important, but not only for yourself, like, because once your nervous system is regulated, you are going to feel like immensely better. You're going to feel calmer. You're going to feel more patient. You're going to feel like you have capacity. You're not going to feel drained. But it's also going to teach your kids how to handle themselves, and you don't even have to parent it. You don't even have to teach it. That's the coolest part, is like you don't have to have a calm down corner. You don't have to have any of that. I mean, I have one of those and they're really cool and we use them sometimes, but the most impactful way that my kids have learned how to regulate themselves is through watching me do it myself. Me stating, hey, I'm feeling really overwhelmed right now, or, mom's having a really hard morning. Mom and dad got in a little bit of an argument. I'm feeling really sad. I need some space to journal this morning, and I'm needing you to respect that. Giving really firm boundaries around what we're needing and letting our children know that, I think it's helpful on many levels. But one, like, imagine yourself as a child and your parents, maybe they were arguing and you knew that they were arguing, but they never acknowledged it. And then your mom tried to go back to just being normal, but then she was short and edgy all day, and you kind of knew, but you thought maybe she was upset with you. Maybe you were the one that did something wrong. And this puts their mind at ease that when you're short and when you're frustrated and when you're acting the way that you're acting, it's not because of them. And there's just so much peace in that, and so much release they don't have to carry and hold on to. And so I think that we need to get better about sharing our inner world. And I think that it actually made me a lot happier in the end, because I was able to express myself and feel like I could, not like I was holding this inner beast that was inside of me back. I could let her go, could let her be, and do that in a very healthy way and teach my kids through that, which has been a huge help in my rage journey. Okay, the next thing, number 5, you knew this one was coming. Journaling. Get on the floor with your kiddos. I love to use this when I'm feeling overwhelmed. I did a whole video on my trick that I do when I'm feeling overwhelmed. It's like 30 seconds. But after I'm done doing this, what I'll do is I'll sit on the ground and I will journal. My kids can play around me. They can play their Tony box. They could read. They could play puzzles, whatever they want to do. But I'm going to journal. And I'm going to be here. And sometimes just having the proximity with our kids, like them just knowing that we're here, they don't even need to play with us, just knowing that we're there helps to ease their mind. But then to add to this, we are pouring into ourselves. And so something that I've been doing in my Monday email list. So if you're on my email list, that's not the way I want to say that. What I've been doing on Mondays in my emails that I send out to my list, that's a better way to say that, I've been giving them a journaling prompt to finish. So if you would like to get this, it's free, obviously. I'll go ahead and link that below, or you can comment email and I will send you the link to get on my email list. But it's just like, how can I journal through this? How can I journal through my day, through my overwhelm? And when I can pinpoint what's going on, why I'm feeling this way, sometimes it's just getting out the thoughts that are in here onto paper. Like, I'm like, okay, there's really not that much going on. Or I really don't need to be that overwhelmed about that. I've got plenty of time. I didn't realize I had 19 days. I thought I had 9. But because I manifested all this craziness in my head and I've been wrapping my brain and just going round and round and round for what feels like hours, I'm overwhelmed. But when I look at it on paper, there's really not that much going on. And there's a lot of times this peace and calm that comes with that. And journaling does not look like you need to sit there and like write full sentences. Sometimes this looks like literal chicken scratch. Like, it's just like, okay, did you even write sentences? No, I didn't. I just wrote words that meant thoughts, and I wrote random lists of things, and then I prayer journaled, and then I wrote I was feeling really mad at this because this happened. Like, it's not just like what I think people think journaling is. To me, it's like word vomiting. Just all over your paper. Just try it. See how you feel. But this has been really big in helping me to get closer to feeling joy when I'm in the moment of just feeling frustrated, rage, anger, and helping me get there. And also on days when I am doing okay, I believe that this helps to keep me from falling back into the rage and the anger, to keep getting my emotions and feelings out. That it just gets stuck and stored in here, and it's no fun when it's there. Okay, number 6 is going to be to expand and contract with your kids. This is something I learned from, I think she's like the Charlotte Mason homeschooling mom or something like that. I'll link her below. But she had talked about this idea of expanding and contracting. I'm not sure if it was her that came up with this idea or if it was something in the Charlotte Mason world. I'm not really sure, but I loved this idea and I started using it. And so what I do is I come together with my kids, whether that's reading books together, maybe it is playing together, maybe it's taking a walk together, and then I'm going to contract and I'm going to go, I'm going to expand and I'm going to go do something that I need to do. Maybe I need to get some chores done. Maybe I need to start cooking dinner. Maybe I just need a few minutes of me time, right? And this for me was it was so eye-opening when I started to see my kids believe and know and feel reassured that they were going to have time with me. And then throughout the week, it's like they knew every day, like, mom's going to spend time with me, and then she's going to go off and do her own thing, but then she's always going to come back and we're going to do something together, because under the age of 7, they still need us. They still need us a lot. Honestly, kids all ages, even adults, hello, still need their parents a lot. We still need our parents to regulate us at times. Even adults, we're not 100% regulated. That's why we're married. We need co-regulation at times, and that's okay. But we also need to know how to do that in a healthy way that's not codependent. And we don't want to raise codependent kids, right? So This for me is such a great way to start teaching independence and to encourage independence. So yeah, give this one a try. Let me know what you guys think of this one. Like I said, for me, it's been really helpful. And I'm sure for a lot of families, it will be as well. Okay, number 7 is going to be giving kids age-appropriate responsibilities. So my daughter is 4.5, and I do not expect her to feed the dog every day, but that is one of her responsibilities. And I have begun kind of putting that responsibility on her a little bit more and a little bit more. I started this right around 4, and I found that early on in the beginning, I don't think she was quite ready for having this responsibility. I think kids of different ages can have different responsibilities. To be truthful, my 2.5-year-old loves the responsibility of feeding the dog, and she's kind of taken it over. And it's interesting to see that dynamic and how different that is. That my youngest is 2.5. Well, yeah, 2.5, and she is fully able to remember and do it every day. Now, there is some reminding, obviously, but my 4-year-old really struggled with it at 4, having that responsibility. And so it's been a lot more teaching for her. And that's been a little bit frustrating for me. I will be honest. It's been frustrating for me to know that I have to teach so much responsibility. But when I start giving responsibility, what that does is it takes work off my plate. And this could look like chores. This could look like reminders. This could look like setting up a rhythm in the morning. Like you get up, for a while it was you take your pull-up off, you put new clothes on, and then you brush your teeth. That's your rhythm, and I need that done every day. That doesn't mean that I don't have to remind them, because I do, but it's her responsibility to do all of that. And our kids are a lot more capable than we believe them to be. And there are times where kids aren't going to want to do it, right? And that's where we have to help them to know, and not just know, but to figure out how to gain something within themselves to do something that they don't want to do. And that's where us being regulated is going to help them through that, because just yelling demands at them, telling them to do it, they have to do it, isn't going to change anything. It's just going to make them more frustrated. And we don't want that dynamic. We want a togetherness, right? And I know this thought can trigger a lot of parents, but when we are in that authoritative, that over, all I can say is, like, you're looking down at your dog and you're like, don't do that. When we have that kind of mentality towards our kids, they immediately kind of turn off. Now go to your childhood and think of a time when your parent was standing over top of you saying, don't do that, or don't say that, or whatever. Imagine if your parent came down on your level and asked you questions and got curious and said something like, hey, what happened here? Allowed you to have conversation back, right? You guys could have conversation back and forth. You would feel heard, you'd feel seen, and you probably wouldn't do it again. But if there's fear, right, and we're saying, don't do that, you shouldn't do that, what's going to happen is the fear is going to cause them to do more of the things that we don't want them to do, because they're not going to tell us. The lying's going to happen. All of that's going to happen because we are going to basically instill in our kids that when you do something bad, I'm going to yell at you. I'm going to get angry with you. And then from there, nobody's happy. There's no lessons being learned. And the cycle just keeps happening. It's like a Band-Aid. Yeah, they might not do that specific thing again, but then they're not going to do something else, or they're going to do something else worse, right? And we don't want to get in that trap. So I have a whole video on this, which I'll link it below, but I think it's important to remember here that when we're talking about responsibilities, we don't want this to become a power struggle. And so if it starts to become a power struggle, we need to see, is the child actually developmentally ready for this? Are we expecting way too much? Like I said, my 2.5-year-old totally ready to feed the dog, 4-year-old's not. I have to be okay with that. I have to understand that she's just different. She has a different capacity. But let me tell you, she can brush her teeth and brush her hair and put her clothes on beautifully. And the 2-year-old still needs a lot of help with that. So yeah, really noticing what our kids are into, what they're interested in, what they're able to do, and giving them a little bit of responsibility, which is going to lead into my next one, will actually help us to feel better, because they're going to be able to start doing things independently. And as time goes on, they'll be able to do more and more and more, which is huge. Okay, number 8, like I said, this kind of ties into the one before, is having a snack drawer accessible. So those ages 4 to 7, they are learning how to be more independent. That's for sure. But they're also really enjoying choice and needing this autonomy. And so one of the things that I love doing is I have a door, actually, and it does have a lock on it, but I give access to my kids when they ask for the lock, and then they can go in and pick out whatever snacks they want. But what I found happening is they were constantly asking for snacks and constantly climbing on things to get the little magnet, and it was exhausting. So what I decided to do was make a small drawer of snacks that they could have at any time. And so if I was doing something in my room and, say I was making the bed and they were asking for a snack, instead of them coming to me and saying, "Hey mom, can I have another snack? Mom, can you get me another snack?" Which was like, stop asking me for snacks. They could choose one of the 5 snacks that were in that drawer for the day. And that was all the snacks they were going to get, if they didn't ask me. But I wasn't going to be getting them snacks. I kind of call it the kitchen's closed. When the kitchen's closed, you can have a snack here, but I'm not making other things. And so this has helped so much cut down on how much time I've spent in the kitchen, how much I'm doing for my kids. I make sure they're baggies so they're easily able to open them. I don't even have to open them. They're healthy snacks. There's something that I don't mind if they even ate all 5 snacks at one time because they weren't that hungry. But then what starts to happen is they realize, okay, today I ate all my snacks in the morning and I had none when I was hungry, later. And mom said the kitchen was closed, so I'm not going to be able to get another snack till dinner. So maybe tomorrow I kind of ration that out, and I eat some in the morning and then I save some for the afternoon. And it's all about having conversation and helping our kids to figure that out. But yeah, for my kids, they've done really well. We found that for both of the kids, having 6 snacks in the drawer is perfect. They've never eaten all 6 snacks at one time, and it's just given them really nice autonomy. And, there are obviously times where I've noticed some kids are going through a growth spurt and I'm like, okay, they're really hungry. They ate most of their snacks and it's not even the afternoon. I'm going to offer them some apples and peanut butter in between lunch and dinner. And giving them a snack, even though I said the kitchen's closed, sometimes I will do that because I can see that what their need is, right? I see that they're going through a growth spurt, or I see that, they've been extra tired, or they're getting over being sick, or you guys get what I'm saying. But I think having a snack drawer is really helpful. I know some people who even have plates and cups and all that stuff at kids level so they can set their own, place setting and stuff. That's something I don't know that my kids are quite ready for, but I think ages maybe 5, 6, I think that could actually be something that I'm yeah, that would work really well for my kids. But as of right now, my 2.5-year-old still takes things out when she's not supposed to. Such a 2.5-year-old. So if you kind of have, or if you're like me and you kind of have you're on kind of 2 different ends of the spectrum, you're kind of okay, my kid's one kid's a toddler and the other one's in that preschool, school age kid age. It's it can be hard to kind of find that balance. So yeah, for me, snacks was an easy way to do that. And it's interesting because the toddler is learning from the older one. And I love watching that happen. She's learning no, I cannot take all the snacks because then I won't have them later, and so it's really cool to see them teaching each other. And I love that because it puts a lot less work on my plate. Okay, very last thing. Promise the last thing. The last thing that I think moms I know I need, is daily quiet time. So typically kids after age 4 or 5, they really start to drop that nap. My 2.5-year-old is starting to drop the nap. She only naps a few days a week now. And I have found that I need quiet time. And so if you are new to the idea of quiet time, or quiet time seems really daunting, I totally get it. And I feel I need to do some kind of video on this because It's just something that I really struggled with in the beginning. I will be honest and say I didn't do quiet time well in the beginning. It was kind of like a go in your room. I would like put up a gate so she couldn't come out of her room, and then I'd say you have to play in here until the timer goes off, and that was that. And I don't like how I did that. It's not something that worked well. I don't feel like my daughter was playing because she enjoyed playing by herself independently. It was just to cope with the fact that she just really wanted to be with me. And so I just know that now that I've had a second and the way I've taught her how to do quiet time, I know there's a much better way to do that. But to give a brief little synopsis of how this can be done, I started out with giving my kids just books and puzzles during quiet time. I set a timer. I do it really short in the beginning. For the 2-year-old, the first day, I only did it for 10 minutes because I wanted her to have success. And she exceeded it. She stayed in quiet time. Now, granted, she has quiet time with her sister, but the rule is they can only play with books and puzzles. And they typically do go into their own beds and they kind of play by themselves, even though they're in the same room. But this just gives them time to kind of be down. I also need some time to be down. So I don't do work during this time. I'm not running around doing house stuff. I'm not cooking dinner. I am resting. And this has been really huge for me. As my girls though are getting older and they're spending more time in quiet time, like right now, they're up to about 45 minutes. I'm finding that I'm enjoying having that long, but I want to marry that with spending time for myself while also, maybe doing a little bit of exercise or, whatever. So I'm kind of figuring out what this looks like for me, but all this to say, it's not time to do your house chores during quiet time. It's time for you. And what will happen is you'll have more capacity for the kids after quiet time if you take this time for yourself. If you take a quiet time for yourself, rest, lay down, close your eyes, open the window, stand by the window, just look at nature, look at all the beauty, I think that's going to be huge. So anyway, that is going to wrap up this video of the 9 things that I think that moms with small kiddos can really benefit from. I hope that these helped you. I hope that they encouraged you and gave you just a different perspective and things to think of. If you know a mama who has small kiddos and she is struggling, I would encourage you to send her this podcast episode. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you want to continue seeing content like this and you enjoyed me and you enjoyed our conversation today, would you please hit that subscribe button? So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching and happy parenting.